We will conclude our preview, our early preview of the NFC West, with the team that were the backmarker last season, the Arizona Cardinals, very much out in the desert, both literally as well as metaphorically, the way the season finished up. Kieran, I want to start with you on the Cardinals because look, you wind it back to this time last year, and they appointed Jonathan Gannon, and there were kind of weird social media videos out of Arizona, and people kind of bristled at some of his antics in the locker room as he was introduced to the players, and we had the pew 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 clip when he met Kyler Murray, which was one of the strangest and funniest clips that we saw in the off season last year, and was absolutely made to be instantly viral. But the way the season went, they emerged with a lot of credit, and he emerged with a lot of credit because they were a lot more competitive than a lot of people expected. People were looking at last year and last season as being something of a lost season where they'd wait for Kyler Murray to come back. Was Kyler going to be the guy? Or, as widely assumed when we started last year, maybe they'd be shipping him on and they'd be going big in what we had hoped and expected. And let's see how that pans out next year, rather, to be a very deep quarterback class. As it is now, they've ended up with Marvin Harrison Jr. They had 11 draft picks overall, including Darius Robinson, the other player they took in the first round. And a lot of people looking at the Cardinals as a team that had drafted very well based on the overall assessment of talent available to them, the sheer volume of draft picks they were able to accumulate. This is the path to success in the NFL. If they've gotten the kind of draft class that some observers think that they may have, they could be a lot more competitive than certainly they were last season, and maybe than a lot of people necessarily expect them to be.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's all about the numbers. When you see, I mean, look at Washington. Everyone can pretty much consensus Washington had the best draft because they had so many picks. Same with the Cardinals. They addressed a lot of the issues that they had. Who could you name on the Cardinals offense last year other than James Conner? Could you name a wide receiver? Probably not. And they addressed that with getting Marvin Harrison Jr. That was a must-have for them. Also picked up Trey Benson from FSU, really good running back. That's going to be a kind of a backup to Connor. I want to believe in the Cardinals. I want to believe that they're going to get better. They've got a brutal start of the season. They've got the Bills, Rams, Lions, Washington, 49ers, Packers, and then the Chargers. They could very well be 1-6 leading into late October or mid to late October. That's going to be that's going to be a real litmus test to them. If they can kind of get close to like a 3-4, and somehow manage to stay competitive in some of those tough games. But again, it's still too early with this draft class. I think it's Harrison will make some standout catches, and Murray will be scrambling and throwing it up there, and Harrison will be picking it out of the air. Again, the same problem at the Seahawks. That O-line is just paper thin. They got nobody out there. It's Will Hernandez and a bunch of maybes and could be's. And that's going to be a big problem for them. Kyler Murray's just going to hit the snap, scramble, left, right, where am I going? Throw it up in the air. Is Harrison going to grab it? Yes, he will. Is he going to get picked off? Probably. And that's going to be the big story of the Cardinals. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Defense is great. I mean, he's still got Budda Baker. Budda Baker, one of the best, safeties in the secondaries in the league. Murphy Bunting, who they got in free agency. It's going to be they will be an exciting team to watch, whether they're getting scored on or whether they're scoring with Harrison Jr. and even James Conner back. Kyler Murray, that's another big question. What's the Kyler Murray going to show up in the field? Is it going to be the petulant, pouting Kyler Murray, or is it going to be, I'm getting older, it's another year in the league, let me get it together and let me be a leader on this team. So we'll see how that all pans out. I think the Jonathan Gannon train finishes though 2024. I think this is going to be it for him. I see a tough season ahead. The only saving grace for the Cardinals is their December schedule, where it loosens up a little bit. They got the Vikings, Seahawks, Patriots, and Carolina in the month of December. Can they kind of pad up, and can they change that 2-9 to a 5-9 or a 5-10 and make it look a little bit more respectable? Reach for a 12, 13, 14th pick in the draft. It's going to be another tough year for them. I don't see a lot going on, exciting wise and challenging for the Niners. And just another year where they're going to have to slog through it. I don't think Gannon's going to last. I think he's going to be back to being a defensive coordinator. I really want it to be good. I really want it to be a good season, but it's too soon. It's too much too soon.
Shane, as Kieran's kind of wrapped up there, the Cardinals very much in the low expectations saloon. Like there's no two ways about it. I don't think anybody expects necessarily fireworks this year, but where they do expect a little bit of dynamism, to put it mildly, is Marvin Harrison Jr., who a lot of people would have pegged as pound for pound the best overall player available in the draft, regardless of position. He will be something for fans to look forward to, and if he is as advertised, we are going to see, as Kieran said, some exciting football in Arizona.
I'm not sure if there are low expectations of Arizona. I think particularly in that market and in the fan base, after seeing a season where Kyler Murray was sidelined, I think there might be wanted to really get at a little bit more this year. And when Kyler Murray came back, I think they played 8 games, won 3 of them and lost 5, better than the one game they won previously. But I mean, we were talking about the Cardinals this time last year as a team which could easily have gone 0-17. The way that they were talked down, and they came out and they showed a surprisingly good level of fight. They didn't necessarily finish things off. They should have beaten the Giants. The Giants managed to spurn a comeback. They had a good game against the Cowboys. A couple of other games early in that season where I think the Cardinals showed a good spirit, but they just didn't have the talent to really back it up, particularly in the quarterback position where Josh Dobbs was hit and miss at best. He definitely did hit against the Cowboys. So I'm not sure. I think there is a possibility for the Cardinals here to be an 8-9, 9-8 team if they manage to get to organize themselves in the right way, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a fantastic player. Is he going to be an instant hit? Give him till October, and I think he'll really show the high level of talent he has. Many people have talked to him as being potentially the best player in the draft, regardless of the 3 quarterbacks who were picked ahead of him. And I don't want to burst any Chicago bubbles there, but that's the way that people have talked about this talent and the ability that the Cardinals will have to be able to build it up. And look, Kyler Murray is back. Has he meditated enough in that time he had off? Has he understood his position on the field that can really spurn the Cardinals into something better? I can expect something a little bit better from him. Do I think the Cardinals are making the playoffs? I don't know. Probably not. I don't think they're going to come last in the division. I think that's the Seahawks maybe this year. But that's mainly because I think the Cardinals will just have a better season this year. I think against their division rivals in particular, they will pose a much more formidable challenge. The real question mark is as to whether Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, can really just plan around all the talent that he has well. We're still not 100% sure on offensive line. Kieran alluded to there the changes and the question marks around the wide receiver core in particular. But give it a couple of games into the season. I think the fact that they have a tough first half of the season kind of suits this team more than it suits others because it gives them a challenge and gives them something to get up for. We've seen the spirit of this team. I think they will go after that first half of the season better than other teams will. So it's a test of their character in September and October could really determine what way this team goes. And I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit naive here. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I'm a little bit more hopeful of Arizona's chances than I am of than other people are. Anyway, I don't know if I think Brian wants to come in there.
Brian, where do you stand on the Kyler Murray question? Because we've seen good Kyler and we've seen bad Kyler. The Kyler we haven't seen, and Kieran mentioned this earlier, is Kyler the leader. I don't know whether he's meditated during the offseason or just played a lot more Call of Duty. But he needs to step up. There's no two ways about it. Otherwise, it's not happening.
I would think he's leaning towards stepping up. I thought Shane alluded to there, the 8 games in which he played at the back end of the season, whilst he only won 3 of them, the 5 games in which they lost, they were in nearly every single one of those games up to the very end, including a really hard-fought game against the Ravens, who go to the championship game. I know every season is very different in the NFL, but he struck me as a guy who came back with a point to prove when it looked like people were going to question the contract. They were questioning the clauses in the contract this time last year around the level of study and preparation he was doing for games. I think we're going to see a guy who recognises.
It's still hard to believe that happened, by the way.
Crazy.
When you look back at it.
Well, again, that's mismanagement within the front. We're in the front office that they did it until it got out there in the public domain. But this team obviously is going to be a very young, dynamic team.
You can't put a price on good communications advice.
Well, you know better than the best of us, Connor. But the reality is 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, 4 third-round picks. All of these guys are going to expect it to go in and contribute immediately. It could be a Rams-like situation where a lot of them come in, hit the ground running, or they can literally derail and obviously find the pressure of playing in the NFL too much. I think we're in the middle of it. I think we might see some players surprises and play well. I'm going to book it now that they go into Buffalo week 1 and cause a surprise and win that game, because that's what I think they're going to do next year. They're going to be exciting to watch. We're going to enjoy watching them. They'll lose some games, but I think they'll be the kind of team that will turn over a team going for the playoffs, and I think it will start in week 1 against the Bills team who will be questionable going into the season. I think this game strikes me as the type of game John Gannon will love for week 1. No pressure. No one will have any expectations. Kyler Murray comes out and has a great game to win week 1. And I think that's the nature of the season. Win some games, be in a lot of games, exciting to watch, ultimately falls short. But I think Cardinals fans will be quietly optimistic going into the future that this team is moving in the right direction.
All right, now that we've done our 4 teams in the NFC West and previewed each one of them, and you can check out the Niners, Rams, and Seahawks elsewhere. Let me start with you, Brian, and just go around the houses then. I think we were all in consensus that it's probably going to be the Niners that win the division. Is this division going to send another team to the playoffs? I'm going to nail my colours to the mast and say yes.
No, not for me this year.
Kieran?
Yep, I have the Niners and the Rams making the playoffs.
Shane?
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to make the playoffs and are going to be the number 5 seed. I'll even go that far to say that they are going to be probably the best of the wild cards.
Steady on, Shane. Don't be giving away your best predictions before we even get into the ones that we're going to be nailing to the notice board during the season. All right, that's it for your NFC West preview. We have all 4 teams wrapped up now. We're going to be going through all the rest of the divisions in the NFL as we move through the off season. Check that out wherever you get your podcast, and we'll talk to you soon.